Hello everyone, good evening. This is Patrick with Lambert's Auto Works. Wanted to let you all know I'm going to be doing kind of a toolbox walkthrough tonight. This is my actual professional tools, at least most of these are. I used most of these throughout my career as a technician at BMW, Audi, and Volkswagen. I also used them as part of my career at the independent shop I worked at in the past. And now I just kind of use these to work around the Mark II and things like that. I do want to pan over here really quick. Everyone that personally knows me knows I'm a huge motorsports fan. It doesn't matter what kind of motorsports it is. It could be circle track racing, it could be NASCAR, it could be dirt tracks, it could be Formula One, it could be IndyCar. I'm a huge IndyCar fan. Sport car racing, Gymkhana, all the stuff that Hoonigan's doing, it's all great stuff. Huge fan, motorsports, Hot Wheels collectibles. So I've got a Casey Kane truck up here on my toolbox. Got some Audis, Volkswagen Beetle, SP2, got a Veloce, got an Aston Martin Vantage. Everyone say hello to Harry Gant. Harry Gant is also kind of the inspiration behind the Skull Bandit / Black Forest Industries Bandit Mark II, which everyone knows that is actually my Mark II that we did in kind of collaboration. Me being the employee of Black Forest Industries, they were nice enough to actually wrap that for me, and we were able to take it to Low Show, where I was featured in a video with JJ from Driver's Supply and Jason from Rotoform, and got to personally work with these guys. I'm actually going to link that video below in the description. So Lambert Auto Works kind of got started just as like a creative outlet for me. I will be actually doing more stuff. Everything is going to be automotive or motorsport related on the channel. I'm also going to be releasing merch. I have a couple designs. They are not ready yet, but I will have a link active on my YouTube channel whenever I do have that merch available. And right back to it. This is actually the second toolbox I've ever actually purchased. This is a Husky toolbox. This is mainly now just my junk drawers / junk toolbox. Tools I don't use very often usually go in here, or tools that you would just typically find around the house, household tools go in here. Other than that, it's just straight junk that goes in here. I do want to say to Cameron Purser, who is the founder and owner of Audi C7 Owners, I really hope you're enjoying that Cobalt toolbox I sold you a few years ago. All right, and this is actually my Cornwell Pro Series cart. This box here is incredible. And honestly, anyone kind of getting into the trade, you don't need a massive toolbox. You just need something mobile to get you around, to store your tools, to make money. That's how you make money. It's having the right tools at the right time in order to make that money and make that flat rate time. This is actually my third tool truck box I've had. I had a Matco box that actually got ruined on a tow truck when I left a job one time. Luckily, that tow truck was nice enough to allow their insurance company to pay for a new box for me. I ended up getting a Cornwell box, and I probably bit off a little more than you, mainly because I got a 76 series. I had bitten off more than I could chew when the tow truck actually damaged that box, and I ended up contacting my Cornwell dealer in Wilmington at the time, who's a great guy. I still talk to him on a daily basis usually. I ended up buying a triple bank Pro Series box from him with a hutch, and it was too much. Like, I don't have the most amount of tools, but I don't have a small amount of tools by any means, and that box was just way too big. I didn't have enough tools to really fulfill that box. So I actually ended up making a deal with him again, ended up trading that in, got this Cornwell Pro Series roll cart, and I actually love this cart so much that I am willing to say any mechanic, any skill level could benefit from one of these Cornwell Pro Series carts. So this is actually the top part of my box here. I do apologize for the lighting and the shadows. I got to get better at this. So I kind of like everything nice and neat. I'm a really big fan of these tool grids here. What they do, this is not bolted in, but these are actually bolted in. These will allow you to actually bolt in your socket rails. That way they're not moving around everywhere. And you can actually just pull your sockets straight out whenever you need them. The downside is not everything in a mechanic's toolbox can actually be bolted down. For instance, we have these EVA foam trays with all my extensions in them, and really, who's gonna bolt that down? That's too many extensions to bolt down. Back to the toolbox tour, I'm actually gonna start with my ratchets because I 100% believe if you don't have good ratchets, you're not gonna be a good mechanic. The reason I say that is you can kind of see I have a few different brands here. Napa Carlisle, you can get these at Napa. This is kind of like their professional line. This would probably, I would probably compare this to like the old Craftsman Professional Series, like the old Craftsman Professional Series from like the late 80s, early 90s, from Sears. These are very, very nice. I love these. The reason I say this about ratchets is, you can't really tell, but let me try and focus. So currently I've got this, and this is my 1/4" ratchet. If I put a socket on this thing, like this, so this is a 92 1/4" ratchet. The teeth engagement is so fine on this. This is part of the reason I like this so much. The back drag, there's almost no back drag. So what back drag is basically one click in reverse, that clicking noise in the ratchet, that's your reverse action. Back drag is the space in between kind of moving the ratchet forward and that click you hear. So when I say there's minimal back drag would be one click reverse, and then I spin it, and there is very little movement. Like, this thing would engage almost instantly, and all of my ratchets are this way, so this is actually why I really like my ratchet. Next up is actually my snap-on ratchet. This is a 1/4" hard handle. I'm a huge fan of these hard handles. I don't know why. Just, they're not really ergonomical or anything, or like soft grip, but they just kind of like form to your hand. Like they feel really, really good. I got these just kind of because I wanted them. As we go through this, you're gonna see a lot of different tool brands, and you're gonna see I don't really have a favorite tool brand. I just kind of have what works best for me. And I think that's really one thing mechanics need to keep in mind. What works best for them isn't always gonna work best for the next technician down the line. So over the years, I kind of acquired these tools and these ratchets. But let me show you the snap-on. So I think this is actually a 72 teeth, but it's a dual pawl. So it should have about twice as much engagement as that 90 tooth. So here's that socket. There's that click, back drag. There's almost no back drag there. Like, it's insane. Like, the amount of engagement you get out of these ratchets makes your life so much easier and so much more efficient. Going back to my ratchets, I'm not gonna go all the way through my ratchets. I have a really long Matco I use for breaking stuff down. This Carlisle here, you can tell it's kind of new. I don't really use this guy because my big 1/2" is usually what I use. This is actually my 3/8 Carlisle. You can tell that handle's a little well worn. I'm kind of a neat freak, so I generally keep my tools in pretty clean condition. This is another 3/8 snap-on with a hard handle on it. Really like these guys. You can tell this one has significantly more use because I've actually owned this one way longer than I've owned this one, and this one's actually been rebuilt twice. This one here, out of all of my ratchets, this one's probably my favorite ratchet, to be honest. I don't know why. It just feels great. Minimal back drag again. Teeth are really fine. They feel good. I do actually really like the snap-on, but being a locking flex head, I think this is probably why I don't like this one as much as just like a straight ratchet. This one's pretty good though. So one thing I love about snap-on ratchets is the ratcheting mechanism. It's such a beautiful sound compared to everyone else's ratchet. Like, this is the snap-on, and this is the Napa. And then I'll even compare it to my Matco, my long handle Matco. Now this Matco here, this I would highly recommend probably this length if you work in BMW, Audi, or Volkswagen, mainly for alignments. You go to adjust the rear toe and camber, you really need some longer tools. That way you can actually apply some torque, break some stuff loose back there, and get everything aligned. All right, so we're actually gonna go into my sockets. So these are flex sockets. I can't remember the reason I had to buy these. It's been so long now. As you can see, I did not use them very often, so that kind of tells you the story behind these. I'm sure there was a reason, you know, some bolt deep down somewhere I needed a flex socket for that needed to be impact rated. You don't necessarily need these, but these were pretty nice, and I think I got a deal on them, so I ended up buying them. Next up is actually, these are really good, especially for BMWs. If you work on anything German, I would go ahead and just buy these. Because most of the German manufacturers are actually going to these. These in particular I bought off the tool truck from Cornwell. These are VIM or VIM tools. They're pretty nice. So these are all e-torques, as you can see there, and they're all flex head. The reason I bought these is actually oil filter housing gaskets on BMW N54s. They are notorious for leaking, and the bolts that hold that oil cooler onto that filter housing are e-torques. And there's a decent amount of room up there, but usually you can't, it's not enough room to really use, say, these guys, which are e-torques. These are Icon. These are e-torques, so you can get away with using like one or two of these on two of the bolts. And then I think the reason I bought these was because I think one of the bolts you actually need to have some flex in order to actually get the oil cooler out of the oil filter housing. Next up, absolutely, like, you need these. If you work on German cars, well, actually any car really, you need these. More than likely, that car is going to have a triple square somewhere in it, holding the seat down, holding the seat belts in. Triple squares, everyone hates them. I don't know why. They grip. I mean, look at these things. These are 12-point like stars, basically. They have splines on them. They're really, really nice. I mean, these are great. I used these notoriously at Audi. There was a recall on the seat belts, or not the seat belt, but the pod system, which is the passenger occupant detection system, especially on Audi A3s underneath the front passenger seat. This was probably 2016 up to like 2019 or so. These are perfect for unbolting seat rails in Audis, Volkswagens. Perfect for undoing seat belts, other things in BMWs. Going next, we just got, I'm not going to talk too much about these. These end at, these are actually Napa Carlisle sockets. They're not really the best sockets in the world, but the thing I like the most about these is they're a decent enough quality to where I would actually classify these as a professional socket, but they don't carry a price tag like most of the tool trucks do, which is the main reason I really have a soft spot for Napa Carlisle tools. So Napa Carlisle, if you guys are listening and you want to sponsor someone that does content creation and videos, I will be more than happy to make a video reviewing some of your tools. So this one is a 15 millimeter. This is a 1/4 inch drive, shallow socket. That's the largest. This set, all my socket sets have no skips. I'm very particular about my socket sets. They must have no skips. No skips meaning it doesn't skip sizes. Like, it'll start at a size and there will be no missing size all the way up to the top. This one is a Carlisle 4 millimeter, so that is my smallest 1/4 inch socket. Then we go into my deeps, same thing. This is actually the thing I like about Carlisle too. If their shallow socket set has no skips, their deep socket set and the 1/4 inch set is also not going to have no skips. Same with the 3/8 too. So that's my 3/8. 3/8 shallow, 3/8 deep. And then as you can see, I have some 3/8 shallow and deep impact sockets. And then I only have a 1/2 inch deep sockets, and I'll explain more on that in a second. So the Napa deep and shallows, they're actually going to start at 8 millimeters. Again, no skips between 8 and 19 millimeters. And again, the other reason I really like these, the chrome's pretty decent. And on top of that, like, they're not overly chunky. They have good weight to them. I've never actually chipped any chrome off these sockets after hundreds of hours of use. And they also have this really cool knurling. So if you're in like really tight quarters and you can't really get like a full spin on your ratchet, but you've already broken the bolt loose, good thing you can do is just like stick this on the bolt and then just use the knurling for grip, and you just turn it, loosen your bolt that way. All right. Up next is actually going to be my Matco tools, excuse me. Very similar to Napa Carlisle. These have no skips. They end at 19. These are 3/8 drive, shallow, end at 19 millimeters, and start at 7 millimeters. So they actually start one size below my chrome sockets from Napa Carlisle. These were the first set of impact sockets I ever bought, and I'm so glad I bought these. These are Tecton. If this will actually focus for some reason, there we go. These are Tecton Impact CRV sockets. They start at 7 millimeters as well. These are 3/8. The only thing I don't like about the smaller sizes on these is the opening is a little small for me. Like I like sockets that generally have like a straight access in them. So like this is by Napa Carlisle 8, but if you look at this, the main part of this socket, it's the same exact size all the way down, and then it gets wider here. And there's no really rhyme or reason for that. It's just they made it to where their socket can be symmetrical and still fit onto 3/8 ratchets and be able to use kind of as a hand socket too. That's enough on those. All right, going to my Tecton. As you can see, one of my socket holders is actually broken on my 1/2 inch rail. That's my Tecton 19. This guy's pretty good. I don't mind these Tecton tools. You just got to be careful. So I bought a set of Tecton picks, and I threw them in the trash as soon as I got them. They were complete and total junk. This is my 1/2 inch rail set. There's not really anything to discuss about these. Like, these are just kind of sockets I've pieced together over the years. These are Cobalt. They're impact sockets. They're nothing fancy. They don't have to be anything fancy. They just have to get the job done. My smallest 1/2 inch, this will actually focus. My smallest 1/2 inch is going to be a Duralast socket. It's a 10. Fortunately enough, when you work on Euros, you're not doing like a whole bunch of 1/2 inch stuff. Like, if you need a 1/2 inch for something, it's usually for like differential mount, wheels, stuff like that. Other than that, you're not really going to need 1/2 inch for a lot of stuff. All right, and then here we got my flex sockets. I really like these because they don't flop. So a lot of times you see guys in the shop, they'll take electrical tape or some sort of tape to stiffen these up because they don't want them flopping whenever they're trying to put it on the socket. These actually have a built-in spring on them, and they prevent that. So they're not floppy. Makes it a little difficult if you're used to the floppy style, like I was, but eventually you can get used to it and get right onto the bolt you were trying to get out right away. Next up is actually my oil filter sockets. So this is the biggest size. This is usually pretty typical of Volkswagen diesels and some BMWs. This one here is going to be your most common with BMWs, Volkswagen, and Audis. Most of their oil filter housings, the caps are actually held in with a 32 millimeter hex mounted to the top of the plastic oil filter housing. This is a 27. I think I actually bought this for fuel filters. I think, again, it's been a few years. I haven't worked in the dealership at BMW since 2022. Yeah, so this is a 27 millimeter. I actually don't even I don't know what brand these are. So funny story, these are gonna be the same brand as these. These are Motive X tools right down there, you can see. They're another one of those like small niche companies. I would say like Powerflex, I think it is. They make like those those bit grabbers whenever you break a bolt or whatever. You just hammer it on and extract the bolt that way. My next one down is actually a 24 millimeter. And I think I actually bought this one. This one's Motive X2, you can see there, it's really nice. This one actually might have been the one I purchased for fuel filters. Anyways, I don't use these too much to begin with, because I was never really a maintenance technician. I was more of a repair technician. Then of course I just have some like loose sockets here, a loose little like inch extension. Highly recommend this, mainly for smaller, more precise stuff in the engine bay on most BMWs. Then I have an assortment of some Allens up here. I don't keep all my Allens or my bits even up here just because it gets a little difficult, and I like keeping everything nice and organized. So this here, this is gonna be a Torx, a really large Torx. I think this is a T60, sorry. Yeah, had a use for this at some point. I don't use it anymore. Got your, your typical, sometimes you get a customer that's real antsy about their wheels, potentially getting messed up. So got to have some protective sockets. And then of course, if you're doing any type of maintenance in a automotive situation, got to have your spark plug sockets. So I'm a huge fan of the ones that actually have magnets inside. This one's a cheap one. If I believe correctly, I think I broke one that was pretty nice and ended up going to AutoZone while I was on my lunch break. Ended up buying this guy while I was there. And she's made it ever since. Big old fat magnet in there. My magnet's never fallen out. Pretty nice. If you got a really tight spark plug, you can stick a wrench on the end of this, which is nice for some additional torque. This one here is a little funny looking. If you've never worked on a BMW or changed spark plugs on a BMW, this is actually a BMW spark plug. See that right there? It's got 14 points in there. This is absolutely critical. If you work on BMWs, you will need this. This one also has a magnet in there. Let me see if I can get the light just right. There's a magnet in there. This one's pretty nice. It's got a knurled in. It's 3/8, and it's plenty deep. So if you want to stick it on an extension or something, put it down in the spark plug hole, spark plug bore. You can extract your spark plug that way. All right, and some other stuff. So I've just got like random junk up here too. So I've got like some pins, some blades, got some stickers. I do actually want to say thank you to Colin, especially over at Tectonics Tuning. I am a huge Tectonics fan. If you ever need engine parts for your Mark II or your older water-cooled Volkswagen, even newer Volkswagens, contact Colin at Tectonics Tuning. He'll take care of you. He's the best. He was super nice, super generous. When I told him what I was doing to the Mark II Bandit, he sent me a whole bunch of stickers because I was requesting contingency-style stickers as a NASCAR-style sponsorship. And Colin was super nice to send me all these fancy stickers that I have yet to throw on my car. These are for my eyes only. Those are super rare, so those are not going on the car. They are going to stay with me. Some Liqui Moly stickers, Spa Turbo. Spa Turbo makes some really good products, guys. If you ever need any performance products, Spa Turbo makes really good products. Hello to my friends over at Black Forest Technic as well. Tectonics Tuning, absolutely love this one. As soon as I get the Mark II unwrapped, back in the body shop, up and running again. I've got more vinyl, and we're gonna do another like partial livery on it. This is gonna be one of my contingency stickers I slap on there. ECS Tuning, we don't really like those guys, but whatever, we'll deal with them. I'll keep it. Borla, I'll probably throw that one on the car just because I got a Borla exhaust on there. A whole bunch of Tectonics Tuning stickers. You know, if you guys want one of these, because I'm not going to use all of these, just comment below. Let me know. I might ship you a sticker or something. Another thing that's absolutely critical when you're a technician, I love these because they're magnetic and they're collapsible, so they save space. They're silicone, so you can put oily products in there. Usually what I do, you can see I use one here just to kind of like collect loose bits and stuff, so that way they're not rolling around everywhere. Usually what I do is, like, if I'm doing a valve cover or something, spark plugs, whatever, like any bolt I take off, I color coordinate them. So that's why I have all these different colors. I got green, red, orange, another red. It's actually a little bit different of a red than this red. And usually what I do is I just color coordinate all my bolts, and that's kind of how I keep organized and put everything back together. As you can tell, I have some stuff here. This is from when I did my alternator on the Jetta. So I didn't actually have a tool to get the alternator bolt sleeve basically compressed back into the bracket. So all I did was I just took this really long bolt, stuck a big fender washer on there, and then stuck this on the end, well, threaded this through the hole, stuck this on the other end, stuck the nut on, tightened it down, pushed that sleeve right back through the bracket. Down here, I actually have some bits that I use for my ratcheting screwdriver. This is a Craftsman ratcheting screwdriver, one of my favorite tools ever. This was also one of my first tools I actually bought, I think. You're gonna need some tape measures. So Milwaukee, I think, was like a gift or something that was given to me. This Craftsman guy, I mean, he's okay. One thing I really like about this Craftsman is, so if I pull this out, he just stays wherever you pull him out, which is nice. Then I got my lights. I really like these. These are neck lights. These are perfect, so they're super bright, rechargeable. These are actually made by Cornwell too. You can get these from other manufacturers too. They don't have to be Cornwell specific. Then I got my good magnet. This is what I like to call my oh shit moment retriever. Drop a bolt and it's magnetic. Just extend this out, drop it down, pick it up. Done. Got some touch-up paint in there. You guys don't need to know about that. Got some really cool air fresheners. Hey, Euro tuning, like you guys. OEM Plus, this guy's really, really cool. He's in Macedonia. So when I was in the military, my kind of area of operations was Macedonia, Kosovo, Serbia, Bosnia, places like that. Really like those. Got some really cool Volkswagen parking air fresheners. I got those off of Amazon, actually. Those are really cool. This is my other, what I call oh shit retriever. You drop something and it's not magnetic, you get the claw. This actually has a light on it too, but the light doesn't work, probably because the battery is dead. And finally, the last thing for up here, these are all from Matco. These are really nice. These are 1/4 inch. Highly, highly recommend these if you work on Volkswagen, Audi, BMW, Mercedes, any of the German cars, actually any car really, because these are metric Allens. They start at 2 and work their way all the way up to 10. Very, very nice. I use these all the time because, you know, usually Allens up to a 10 at least, they're not usually held in with a bunch of torque, so you don't need a really big ratchet really. So I just use these guys anytime I'm doing interior work, anything like that. Usually these guys get broken out. These I kind of wish I didn't buy these personally, because you can tell by the rust forming on the top of them. I have not used these a single time. The reason being is probably because these are triple square. Triple squares usually have a torque requirement. It's not going to be a real easy, like, oh, let me take my 1/4 inch ratchet, throw on this triple square, and I'm going to be able to break this bolt loose. Usually you're talking at least a 3/8 ratchet to break a triple square bolt loose. So kind of wish I didn't buy those, but thanks to my Matco dealer in Wilmington, he sold me on the whole set. So these here, Volkswagen's best friend, actually BMW's best friend too. Torx, these are perfect. Highly, highly recommend these. Use these all the time on the interior of cars too. So this next drawer is actually my first drawer down from the top of the box. This one here, I keep tape. We've got my old horn button in there. I've got a small little like Bluetooth adapter for OBD2, green duct tape for the Bandit, you know, for emergency repairs, dielectric grease, feeler gauges. I usually use these, like when we built the engine, had to use these for the valves whenever we did the high flow valve kit. Got my launch OBD2 scanner in here. You absolutely need an OBD2 scanner. I don't care what anyone says. If you are working on a car, you need an OBD2 scanner. You also need one of these. It doesn't have to be a Matco or fancy like Snap-on, but you absolutely need a meter. This here, this is actually really cool. I've used this probably a couple times, so I'm not the best at really diagnosing parasitic draws for some reason. I think it's kind of a fear thing. Like, I get a little concerned with parasitic draws, and I'm like, oh crap, like what happens if I can't figure it out? So how this guy works, you actually just hook this guy up to the battery. It's fused and it's also switched. You plug these into your multimeter, onto your leads here on the multimeter. And then you turn your multimeter on, put the car to sleep. And basically this is fused to prevent your multimeter from blowing the fuses in the backside of the multimeter. And basically what you're watching is you're watching that command signal in BMWs to go to sleep, and you're just gonna start testing fuses as the car is going to sleep. Once you find a fuse that actually has power on it, usually that's the circuit that has the parasitic draw on it, and you can start diagnosing further from there. Again, I got some more oil filter housing caps up here, sockets. Don't really use these. Bought this one because I came from owning a Toyota Tacoma, and my wife actually had a Highlander, so this is a Toyota socket that someone actually gave to me. I did not buy this. I would be lying to you if I told you I bought this. This is going to be your E36, kind of like E46 style / N54 and earlier. I think it's N54. It might not be. But older style BMW oil filter housing cap. Got some impact rated sockets in here, some zip ties. You absolutely need these. I don't care what anyone says, if you're a master tech or loop tech. How are you gonna measure brakes for your multi-point inspection if you don't have the tool to measure brake pads? This here, you know, I wasted money on this, but I like this. This is my favorite tire gauge for measuring tread, because you just walk up to the tire, just put it down, and just like that, it works. Some other stuff I got in here, got some like spark plug wire separators. That's from the Mark II. Got this guy. So this, I think it was E36's, had like a emissions device underneath the intake manifold. And there was actually a recall, and the only way you could get to it without taking the intake manifold off was one of these guys. So that got some pretty good use. Got a spark plug wire in here. Have some leads for testing. Have this guy. What I use this guy for is if I'm looking for something in a car and it's kind of dark or something, and it's really small and I can't read anything, use this and it magnifies everything you need, just like that. Got my flywheel bolts. Gonna be doing a clutch here soon. Got some drill bits in here. This here is a inline like spark tester. So basically you just turn it on, you touch the top of the coil pack, and you know, as long as you don't get any weird flashing, should be good. BMWs, highly recommend. If you work on BMWs or Volkswagen, any car really, buy one of these. I mean, these things come in so handy because everyone has these massive high-powered phones now, and when they charge them, they blow the fuse. It's the easiest way to test a 12-volt socket. Just boop, light shines, got a working 12-volt socket. Doesn't shine, you got problems. All right, this one's actually my second drawer down. This is just my pliers. These are all Blue Point here. These are pretty nice. Again, Snap-on, but still Blue Point. I think these are actually made in Taiwan or something. Super nice, never let me down. I do like Cobra pliers, but I don't really have a justification to pay that price point. So I got some Doyle pliers. These have never failed me either, from Harbor Freight. So for some electrical crimping and stuff. Got my snap-on crimpers. Highly recommend those. Strippers, I would probably buy a better set of strippers than I own. Don't really need those. Got some clamps for closing off fuel line or coolant line, whatever. Spark plug pliers, big old pliers. This one's pretty good. You're gonna need this one. Working on stuff, hose clamp pliers. Got a Mark II door lock actuator. Going to my next drawer down, this is my wrench drawer. So, there's one thing in this world I own a lot of, and it's wrenches and ratchets. So, this right here is going to be all my ratcheting angled wrenches. These are Blue Point. Super nice. I think these are actually 72 teeth. They're not bad. These are my Carlisle ones. These actually start all the way down at, I believe, 9 millimeters. And I have some Icons starting at 20, and they go all the way up to 24. These are actually pretty nice. I use these on alignments a lot too. They weren't bad. This guy here, BMW X5s, that's what you need in the rear for doing alignments. Same with these guys. These are Matcos. If you work on Audis, BMWs, get these guys for alignments. They're gonna save your life. Adjustable wrenches, use these for brake flushes. Also use these. These are Gear Wrench E-Torx ratcheting wrenches. These are super, super nice. Come in handy when working on Mercedes and BMWs. More crescent brake line kind of wrenches. Some other stuff, random stuff in here. So I have these two mainly for dash work. There's another thing in this world I hate, which is dash work, because it's such a tight space. So I got these because these are a little bit smaller. So this one's a 19 compared to my 19 Blue Point. You can see how short it is. All right, sorry about that. Only thing left in this drawer really to show you guys. This is for stretch belts. Most AC compressors and stuff on cars today, they're using stretch belts. So this is an install and removal tool for stretch bolts. They're a pain, they work, but there's probably a better method out there somewhere. All right, next drawer down, screwdrivers, Torx drivers, Allen's precision toolkit, loose nuts and bolts. Highly recommend getting something like this to organize all your loose nuts and bolts. More bits, pocket screwdrivers, got some assortment of hammers, got a dead blow, all the stuff, got my punches. I usually keep those in a roll-up thing here. On to the next drawer. This is kind of what I would say is basically like my interior trim tool / prying tools. So you got all your interior trim pieces, removal tools here. That's not in the right drawer. That's a gasket for oil drain plug. More pocket screwdrivers. Got a Volkswagen bone tool. Hey, check that out. You can buy this from blackforestindustries.com if you guys want. We have them on the site. Got a gasket scraper. Got a brake tool for setting in the pistons on rear pads that are spinning. So basically what happens, you stick this on your extension, and then you stick this in between where the pads go, with your pads obviously removed, and you're able to spin based on the notches in your brake caliper piston. This one's actually Volkswagen here. You're able to actually spin it so you can turn in the piston and actually do a brake job. Cotter pin removal tool. I've used this on so much stuff. Tractors, BMWs, Volkswagens, Audis, like everything you can think of. Same with this guy, radiator pick tool. That's a snap-on. That's just the one I had when I needed to buy it. Trim removal tool. This is kind of like a lineup bar. This is more something you would probably see in a body shop. So if you're actually working in like service stuff, you probably won't need this, but always nice to have. More trim removal tools, some picks. These guys here are Craftsman. Same with this one. This one here is a Cornwell. Not bad. This one's probably my go-to, most used. This one's also, this is a scratch all, but this is probably I probably use this as a lineup bar for something that I can't really get to like line up all the way when I'm trying to bolt it in. I'll just stick that in the hole, kind of like leverage it, and then I'll bolt everything tight. Got my extra long picks. These are from Mac. Really like these guys. These are good for tight spaces too, because it kind of gets you out of the space, but still in it with the ends being so long. Then I got my pry bars. One of these is a Cornwell. This guy's, highly recommend this guy for tight quarters. These are Tecton, these ones. I do have a really big one too. It's actually a Pittsburgh. That one's actually never let me down, but I did bin one and Harbor Freight replaced it. So shout out to Harbor Freight for doing that for me. All right, we're to the final drawer now. And as you can see, this is kind of like my catch-all drawer. So I've got tap and die set in here. If you're gonna do any type of professional mechanic work or even just hobby mechanic work, you absolutely need tap and die set. You probably won't need it all the time just because bolts and stuff don't break all the time, but they can. So it's good for an emergency. Put this back. I would also recommend not buying like a Harbor Freight or cheap tap and die set, because you don't want cheap metal when you're trying to tap or die a hole. You don't want the bit to actually break in the hole, because then that's just a whole other nightmare. So I've got digital timing light because my Jetta has a timing belt. I have a jump starter in this box. Heat gun. This is a Craftsman heat gun. That's all you really need. My BMW guys that do ADOS calibrations and alignments, you guys know what this is. This is for your ADOS calibrations. It's how you measure, because they measure everything metric. Serpentine belt tool. I think I actually bought this one mainly for Hondas, but it has everything in it that you could ever need. Drill bits. I definitely recommend buying this. This brand is Drill America. These are like 200 bucks, I think, but it literally has every single drill bit you can think of. So let me open this and show you guys. All right, so you can see there is a absolute ton of drill bits in here. I've never had a single one break, and you can tell I use a lot of them on drywall. This one here I've used on like a lot of metal, like trying to drill stuff. Just random stuff, really. Oh, this should actually probably be up top. And actually, I'm probably gonna move this up top. This set here, this is from Cornwell. This is also an e-torque set. And had these. It would work okay, but you know, a lot of your strut bars and stuff like that in the engine compartments of the M series cars and M performance cars, they're gonna use these e-torques on those strut bars. So, and depending on the model, like if you go to like an X3M and then an X5M, sometimes they're a different size. So you really need all of these sizes. Also have in here some clamps, some stuff for polishing. This is mainly for my fancy wheels. So if you guys ever need a rotor for a Mark II Digifont, Duralast ones work fine. This is my OEM rotor that's actually in here. Do not get the cap though. Caps are absolutely terrible. This one's my cap. Out the box. This was the second one I bought, and out the box. So the first one was cracked, and this one here, you can see down in here, is broken. So that there is actually not contacting. So AutoZone, you guys are watching, stop making piece of crap distributor rotors and caps. Got a clamp in here in case something breaks, you know, got to glue it. It's usually what you use that guy for. This here, this is what I was talking about. This is all my other bits. These are all 3/8 size. This is the master bit set from Husky. Really like these. These come in handy for everyday use. So they start with Phillips. They go all the way up to a Phillips 3, I think it is. And then you got flatheads, you got metric Allens, you got Torx, standard Allens, more standard Allens, excuse me, some Torx, E-Torx, all down here. This set's great. Usually when I come in, when I'm doing mechanic work, I'll start my day and I'll pop this out and usually just keep it nearby because you're gonna need it throughout your day. So that was my main toolbox. There's a couple things in this toolbox I actually want to show you guys. Mobile Pegasus. So this is kind of rare. There's that Harbor Freight pry bar I was telling you guys about. Absolutely get one of these if you work on luxury cars, because sometimes your customers are too cheap and they don't want to replace their hood struts. This will save your head. So back to what I was going to show you guys. So we all know Sears used to house the Craftsman and Die Hard brands. Home Depot's home of Husky. Cobalt is Lowe's. Napa Carlisle belongs to Napa. Snap-on is Snap-on, Matco is Matco, etc., etc. But have you guys ever seen ratchets from JCPenney? So these actually belong to my grandfather, and I found these after he passed away. And you know, I don't use these, but they're pretty cool. Like, look at that, made by JCPenney. Actually, these were probably made by someone else for JCPenney, but they kind of look like SK ratchets to me, which is not a bad ratchet at all, but just older, 35-31 forged USA. This one's a 3/8. This one is the 1/4 inch. This one's much finer than that 3/8 guy is. Still pretty nice. This one's the 1/2 inch. The 1/2 inch is also pretty fine compared to the 3/8. I don't know if the 3/8 just has a different teeth number or what, but this one's pretty nice too. Like this guy, also JCPenney on the handle there. Some other stuff you might need as a technician, some scrapers and some files. I've lost some files. Hey, look at some rare Mark II parts / Porsche parts. That's real. I don't care what anyone says. Got some stuff in there. Other thing I actually wanted to show you guys, I keep all these catalogs, mainly because like these are outdated, but like these tool companies, they're not producing tools really fast enough to where their catalogs get outdated super fast. So I've got Cornwell here. I still look in there for a lot of tools if I need something special. Same with Snap-on, that's in there. I got Matco too. And I got one last one in here. Napa Carlisle, professional tools. That one's pretty good. It's a little small. It's smaller than the rest because obviously Cornwell and Snap-on and Matco have been around much, much longer than Napa Carlisle tools. Well, if you guys enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. Let me know. This is, again, a work in progress. Just kind of me doing a creative outlet. In the future, I am going to have merch. I have some designs currently working on. I just am not ready to release that merch just yet. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe and say hello in the comments section. Thanks. Bye.